welcome again, viewers. Had an abrupt end to the last broadcast, so I wanted to consolidate all this into one. But yeah, this is what did you say, what did you do, what did you think? Bring you another broadcast about ability cards, your loadouts, different options. Um, you know, I don't know how much time we have, so in between cuts and takes here because of you know, online errors and being disconnected. So to briefly surmise, the last episode here, the last part, the first part of this, I covered the fact that, the build loadout at the end of the day won't much matter if someone's, shooting you with explosive rounds instead of rounds. Just various different rounds that you can use. You can review the video for, how I covered that information. As well as the fact that one of the overarching, so it's not like this is completely kaput. There can be purpose to these things, and you just have to regard the conditions under which they're going to serve you. Like I stated last time, from beginning to end, you can use these cards to role play in various different ways, as far as how you might want to characterize your your cow person, cow individual, girl, boy, what have you. So yeah, it's really up to you and your creativity. As far as their functional use is concerned, like I said, you have to regard their limitations, their strengths, and the manner in which you can enhance them with tonics and foods from your inventories, which I can't access sitting down. And by the way, sitting down at your camp is the safest way to be at your camp. People can't drag you out of your camp or anything like that. Let me finish drinking this here. But yeah, the going into your satchel, you can click into your big game needs to give yourself gold cores, as I covered last time. And the fact that your tonics as well as your abilities will not be will not affect your cores. Only the bars around your cores, as you see here. And once again, I don't happen to have a tonic, but to reinforce it. But you get my point. You can reinforce your bars, as I covered last time with that. You can also purchase tonics and what have you from your catalog. But while I'm grabbing a tonic here, let me see here. Yeah, and I started talking about the actual loadout abilities for the cards that you can have, and beginning to explain, certain conditions under which a lot of these things serve. But yeah, you can see you can just buy tonics, as well as you can make them with various different herbs, and there are plenty of videos out there to show you, which herbs you can collect and get. You can go to your fence to buy your pamphlets, which will give you all of your recipes for doing so, and you can craft at your campsite here to make whatever you have the ingredients for. You can interact with the menu options to show what you can craft and what you are capable of crafting if you have the right ingredients for it. And here's your big game, and you can scroll left or right on your D-pad or whatever your options are for your controller setup or game system to highlight the different types of foods you can create in your menu. But again, all that's going to play an important role as to how reinforced you are behind those cards that you have, which no one can view, by the way. And word to the wise, if you go running up on somebody or you're trying to defend against someone, you can go to your menu options and you can click on to any player and see their ability loadout to know how to prepare or defend against a situation or aggress upon it if that's your bag. And again, like I said, there are a lot of things which will trump whatever anyone has, regardless of what they have, and that's how I tend to hit people. I don't care what you got. I'm going to hit you like this, and if hopefully we don't even need to deal with that situation, but I will finish it if necessary. But either who, And people get me too. I mean, I've been killed by folks plenty of times, more often times by people spawning, and I'm spawning in and they're killing me, griefers as they call them, which is highly unadvisable because, under um, the game options here, you can report players, any player, for various things, and disruptive behavior covers a whole host of things, including griefing. Um, so either who, when it comes to these abilities, there's no sure shot of anything, and a lot of people, based on how they perceive the game and you know their bravado, so to speak, they don't even agree with using Deadeye. They want to relive the glory days of Red Dead Redemption Online 1. But you know, where I left off at was just referencing, giving you an intro about the Deadeye abilities, and that's your main, card to use as far as the Deadeye activation. Now, you have passive abilities which do not regard the Deadeye ability, or they can. So if you have your Deadeye ability perk equipped, yeah, the various different cards can interact with it. If you don't, then you can just rely on your passive abilities. Still, activating Deadeye, regardless of what type of ability card you have, will give you other enhancements, such as being able to have a better, almost instant accuracy with any weapon, regardless of the range. It's far faster to gain accurate point of aim by using Deadeye than anything else. Um, the and so um, and again, as far as like the Deadeye abilities, again, it's going to be relative to what you feel as though might help you, or might just enhance your gameplay experience as far as your role playing in regard to your character. A lot of these things will help you 100% in any type of PVE, or engagement with an AI in the game, the non-playable characters, any of the story modes. Any one of these abilities will aid you as long as they work, and coincide with your gaming style and tactics. Um, and But yeah, next on your list of things to continue on are your DPS builds of things. Um, I didn't spend a whole lot of time leveling all these, simply because, again, damage is relative. It's relative to how well your weapon is maintained, which, you can go to your weapon wheel and, um, I probably can't be seated to do this. But yeah, you can highlight your weapon, and as you can see with this weapon here, the condition at the bottom of the stat says that it could use some cleaning, but the damage and range, fire rate, all these things are affected with how well your weapon is maintained. So those factors can come into play, whether it's a dead shot, accurate shot, graze them, the distance, the type of weapon. There's a plethora of things which will affect, how, as to whether or not the ability cards are going to work for you or not. How your tactics, in your engagement in the combat. And again, if you're dealing with somebody like myself, that's just going to blow you up with whatever devastating effect they can make. Because really, I'm letting you know, bro. If I got the button, I'm getting ready to hit it. So it's just, leave me alone. I'm not the one for that shit. So, and if the moment you aggressed upon me, you've taken it too far. So therefore, I'm going to take it as far as it can go. That's if I just don't leave. So like I said, when wisdom steps out, violence steps in. I try to keep it chill, because like I said, I'm in it for different reasons probably than some other people. I use to help me cope with chronic pain. But either who, with your abilities here, uh, you can go out with, a DPS loadout, which will be devastating. What, 2, 3 shots, one shot type kill situations quite easily, depending on how you decide to want to stack these cards in a way that you may decide to want to, um, uh, you know, implement them in whatever strategy or tactic you have. And I mean, and I'll be honest with you, for me, my second go-to, which might wind up being my preference depending on how certain balance things come to pass and certain bugs that are apparent with these cards get worked out. I might just go straight to a DPS loadout, because I mean, honestly, I mean, it's, if you survive the encounter, and you can kill anything, with one or two shots, depending on what you're doing and doing it with, regardless of the ammunition type or weapon. So there are a lot of ways you can set it up, and there are even in your recovery abilities DPS related things, like for example peak condition. Here you inflict a lot more damage. That's at level 3 when your stamina bar is at least 75% full. That's rather easy to accomplish, and you can even maintain that point with a gold core food type. As well as I stated last time, you can sustain and reinforce. You can replace your bar level around your cores. um, as I showed you in the lower left hand corner above my my mini map. And I could probably run over here and get that tonic I ordered from my collection box. But yeah, so to me, if you wanted to just go with some passives and the bravado of not using Deadeye, you could do that and still enhance your character. If you wanted to go with the Deadeye aspects of things, on a DPS loadout of a situation, hands down, you want to go with your painted black. Level that all the way up to 3 and rock out. I mean, you that is the most, in my opinion, the most deadly card in this gambit of things. There are a lot of cards that are beneficial depending on your situation and condition, but yeah, so if you don't have any issue with the game mechanics and how pretty much probably 99.9% of everybody's going to be playing a game with your Deadeye perks, then rock out with your painted black. And any combination of the DPS aspects of things, as long as they suit your gaming style and your gaming tactics. I've seen a plea of people run around, lassoing folks, because that in and of itself will trump anything you have. You get lassoed, if you don't break out in time, that's your ass. And here you go, you got a hangman card to suit that game style and tactic. And heck, if you wanted to role play as a hangman, I mean, or whatever, I mean, you could go out to town with that. And depending on whether you want to play as a sniper, or a up close and personal situation with a shotgun or melee weapons, this would benefit you hands down. If you're in the horse races, for example, this would benefit you hands down when it comes to meleeing your opponent. This horseman, hands down, will work for you as far as meleeing your opponent or shooting them or whatever. Now, to me, in horse races, none of that's necessary. To me, it's best to show that you have skill and tactic and strategy and know how to ride your horse and can win the race. Because there are a lot of little dirt things you can do to each other while and without actually shooting somebody in the back or even meleeing them, cutting them off of your horse, blocking their field of view, drifting behind them, pacing the situation, letting their stupidity take themselves out. There's a lot of different things you can do, which to me enhances the experience, shows your skill, versus necessarily relying on any of these cards to help you out. But still, when I run the horse races, I go with a defensive loadout where, I'm utilizing my Deadeye ability with slow and steady, more than likely, to give me that added protection, along with more than likely I'm running with Never Without One. That's a controversial card, which we will cover a little bit more later. But Never Without One is one of those cards where definitely on a 4 slot you could substitute with a lot of different other cards to help you out. Like, for example, Come Back Stronger is a wonderful card to have in place of it, when you're trying to do a defensive tactic, as I'm mentioning here with the horse races or any other situation, PvE or PvP. But yeah, and then, of course, Unblinking Eye, whatever your loadout, whatever your thing is, if you're using Deadeye, that's, to me, the strongest card you can put in regard to it. And it also too enhances your eagle eye when you're just looking around with things and trying to enhance the environment. um, so uh, you know, even if you're not going with a DPS or Deadeye loadout or setup, you can still go ahead um, and utilize this or any other passive. But again, too, a lot of times in the races, I'll use my tonics, which a lot of people don't think to do. I grant you, if you die, you'll lose your tonic, but you will maintain your bar around your core, which of course will help you get back into action a little bit faster. Um, and so it's not a complete waste per se. Uh, and Yeah, we're back here. Um, again, it just depends on your circumstance. There is another one in here too. Yeah, takes much less damage from bullets while unarmed and using melee. This is great too when you're being defensive or even in the horse races, for example, where if as long as you unequip your weapon, which isn't hard to do, and for me, I prefer have both hands on the reins. I feel like you do perform better with your horse riding. And also too, it also to lets your intention known to the other riders that you're not going to shoot them. Whether or not you're going to shoot them or not isn't the point, but your intention can be telegraphed with nonverbals, and that's called body language. Uh, so yeah, it's helped me in many time to let people know I'm not a threat in that regard. And hey, if you can ride your horse well, you got the race. Knock it out. Um, Matter of fact, I glee when I see people perform, well. Either who. Again, like I said, with the DPS loadout, just to wrap up, just to bring us back around, um, will trump anything that's out there. Uh, Especially if coupled with any type of live, explosive ammunition, incendiaries, Molotov cocktails. I mean, it's plain as hatchet to the forehead, done. Um, but yeah, and again, depending on how you stack them, and your gaming tactics, will depend on how well they benefit you. Um, and also too, if you're not a Deadeye individual, they'll still benefit you because they're passives. Um, and again, I will probably switch to that if the way I'm going with things doesn't quite work out. And just to surmise, once again, you can reinforce any of your Deadeye, your abilities, passive or active, as far as the Deadeye is concerned, with tonics and with foods. You can sustain those aspects under duress, or under fire or whatever. So next on the list here we have our healer abilities and or recovery abilities, um, and they're all of them are efficient. All of them actually do something for you. You just have to respect the conditions under which they do, and again, they can enhance role playing. Um, you know, my strongest one, because I'm working with what I consider to be a tonic tank build, tonic tank loadout, because I'm utilizing this card and I'm utilizing tonics to reinforce everything I'm doing. So therefore, the white bar that goes around your cores, I oftentimes, to be safe and sorry, regard it as as how shall I say, a safety net. It's a safety net from my to get to my core, and as far as it draining is concerned, because if your core is drained in any kind of way, shape, or form, how efficient your bar uh, can be decreased or reduced will depend on how strong your core is, and that's the purpose behind Gold Core Foods as well. But yes, so depending on the level of tonic you take, it will resist the X amount of damage. It would be nice if someone could put out some real stat videos on that. I don't have the equipment to do those measures. Um, And I mean, there are a host of conditions which can affect all that. I don't even know if it's really possible. I mean, distance, like I said, degradation of your weapon. I mean, there are a host of factors which can affect it. And then it's like, at the moment, there's nothing that's going to trump the dynamite. There's nothing that's going to, So, it's relative, okay, and conditional as to when any of these things are going to help you or really enhance your gaming experience beyond role playing, or what peace of mind you feel they're going to give you. So, like I said, this conversation or the presentation of the material isn't negated. It's just that you have to sincerely respect its limitations. But unlike a lot of games I have played, these things do work under their under their limitations. Um, this does restore a lot of Deadeye. This does, without a doubt, a lot more damage if you're 75% full. Come Back Stronger is a lovely perk that pretty much immediately allows your healing to kick in, a regenerative factor. You can run around like Wolverine before the Animanium or whatever, you know. But it's really cool, I think. But again, you have to respect the limitations. I like this one a lot. You gain a lot of health whenever you inflict damage. It's a good reward system for doing well. Um, you know, um, killing Amy Green health here. Let's see. Yeah. I wish they had one where when you receive damage, you regain uh, health, but but the closest you get to that is you regenerate much sooner after taking damage, which I think keeps things fair and balanced. But also too realize you're not going to heal through most of anything that's very substantial. Now I did encounter a situation where a player ran up on me while I was finishing a camp raid. It was a enemy hideout rather. And I saw him off distance with his posse. I had a feeling somebody was going to run up on me before I finished, so I reinforced my situation with gold core and tonics. And when he ran up on me, he immediately tossed a cocktail on me and set me on fire and shot me. Now, bear in mind, I had Come Back Stronger active at that point in time, as well as Never Without One. Um, and of course I had unblinking eye, and so I was, my dead eye wasn't active, and basically he wiped out my gold core. I mean, not my gold core. No, yeah, the gold core disappeared, and the the yellow bar around the health disappeared, but my white bar after the gold leaves was like at halfway, and the core of my health wasn't affected. So that's just to give you a measure of how you can withstand. And it wasn't a volatile version either, because that burns hotter and longer. And wherever he shot me, if I remember correctly, it knocked my hat off. But yeah, I was using at the time slow and steady, like at level 1 or something like that. And, I activated that and just roasted him, blew him away with, my uh, volcanic explosive here and my incendiary sawed off, and after he was dead I just left the scene because it just wasn't worth it. Either who, that's to give you an idea into what limitations per se you can experience, but that's based off of his sloppy tactics and strategy, and the fact that his posse decided to let him run off on his own to do what he did. Anyway, fools are fools, bro. This shit's hilarious. Anyway, like I said, so yeah, with the, depending on how you want to go with the situation, if you want to go with a healer setup, with, for example, here Quiet and Inspiration, I think Quiet and Inspiration is probably your best overall healer Deadeye ability over, say, a Moment to Recuperate, simply because you will constantly be putting out a heal, and your Deadeye will not be interrupted even when you receive damage. But even at level 3, that's not going to stop. Too much damage will hit too fast, even if you use this coupled with, say, a Gift of Focus with some tonics. even coupled with come back stronger to heal that much faster. None of that will withstand a bombardment of damage, or even a large amount of damage at any one time. But if somebody's not accurate, they're inaccurate. You know, as this card states, a moment. If you have a moment to recuperate, yeah, you can heal your ass off. With quite an inspiration, and you do get larger bursts of heal with a moment to recuperate, but you have to re-engage your dead eye after you receive damage each and every time. But as soon as you're able to hit it, it's healing you. As soon as you're able to hit it, it's healing you. So, if like I said, PVE, story mode type stuff, yeah, you'll have full health all the time. But against PVE circumstances, unless they're not hitting you hard and unless they're not really accurate, it's not going to save you. But if you want to use it in regard to role playing, it will serve you great. I mean, you could be running out, like, do your own reenactment of freaking Wolverine Origins or some shit. You know what I'm saying? You're running out there taking hits until you get busted in the head the wrong way. But, it's really cool. I almost look at this like a pack leader type thing. It's quite an inspiration where, you're healing your entire group as if you're some kind of hybrid werewolf or something. But, you can play around with it or not. It's mad cool. But yeah, so again, you can combine a lot of these attributes here to come out with a really awesome healer loadout. Strange medicine included, along with cold-blooded. So yeah, you could play that healer role, and of course you can play the tank role, your defensive abilities. You can combine all or any of the others. But so they all do work. It's just that you have to, again, respect their limitations. This is only going to help you if you have cover. Well, that's not going to help you diddly squat when you're not in cover. And if you're in various different remote areas like New Austin or something like that, where there's very little cover in various different circumstances, you're screwed. But if you play to the weakness of the situation, you'll be strong. So just make sure you position yourself well. Make sure that you take cover. Make sure that if you respawn, you don't run in like a fool, to re-engage the enemy. You let the enemy come to you. There are a lot of strategies where this will work for you, 100% of the time when you're utilizing it. I haven't leveled it up, but it's going to be my next one to go ahead and level up to level 3. But based on my strategies and tactics, I tend to like to have things that are going to work for me 100% of the time, regardless of my circumstance, so that I can mix and blend my tactics to deal with whatever the circumstance is to overcome it. But at the same time, again, this is a really strong card. This is also too strong, but respect its limitation. It's only going to work for you when you against bullets. So if somebody hits you with an explosive round, that explosive component's going to fuck you up. They hit you with, a shotgun slug, most likely all that's going to hurt because that's not a bullet. I mean, it's just, but, if you're in PvE, or whatever, or if the individuals are not engaging you with heavy hitting stuff, that's going to help you great, as long as you also, too, second limitation, running. You got to be sprinting. So if you're not sprinting, this don't help you. If they're not hitting you with bullets, that don't help you. So I haven't leveled that up past 1 yet. But either way, it's still a good card. I did enjoy using it. If you want to be, your hero, your healer, for example, or the tank that's recovering people, picking them up and what have you. Realize again, you can use your tonics and your gold core foods to reinforce yourself. But this is a fun one. But the circumstances under which this is going to really be helpful in a PvP circumstance are very limited, especially depending on what they're hitting you with. So you might not have a time. If this gave you, if you could revive someone faster, you know what I'm saying, with this, even leveled up, that would be cool. But it takes a certain measure of time to do everything in this game. that, in my opinion, reinforces the fact that this game is a survival game. People don't advertise it like that, but it is. Um, it's relative as to when that's going to help you. And of single purpose, this is a really good card. I enjoyed this a lot, and especially if you decide to go with a melee type of a build, or you're going to go with a DPS type of a build, and you're using melee weapons. Um, you know, uh, if you're just dealing with close quarter situations far more frequently, this is an awesome card. I mean, it just really is. But bear in mind its limitations. It's going to only work against what? Bullets. so, but it's awesome. Like if you want to play that, defensive role in the racehorse races, it's a good one to have. Because more than likely somebody's going to be shooting you with a bullet of some sort. Um, so yeah, I did enjoy that one a lot. And again, you have Never Without One, which brings us to issues and bugs. Because this card here, when you're in a PvP circumstance and in one of your type of matches, it, when you get shot, you can't recover your hat at the moment off the ground. And and when you respawn, you won't have your hat. So a lot of people do use it up until they lose it, and then they switch it out with another card, or if they're in a posse, they will go ahead and put on one of their other posse outfits or something like that to give themselves their outfit back. So there are ways to circumnavigate the little bug or glitch or whatever's going on, or it just might be their way of trying to keep the game balanced, because you cannot kill a person with a single headshot where they're wearing this, as well as if they level it up, it gives you take less damage to the body. So depending on whether you're going with your DPS, tank, healer, um, or hybrid builds, or what I like to consider your tonic builds, this card will reinforce all of that, on a passive level. A lot of people hate the card because of the fact that it cheeses the situation in a way that feels very unrealistic, and I can't blame them. But at the same time, I feel foolish not having it. And I've been able to, with my own strategies and tactics, circumnavigate the issues that might befall when the hat comes off. Like I said, having your horse nearby, position yourself well so you can pick it up if you're in a free roam situation, or uh, being able to just switch outfits. If you're in a posse, to also to using, my Deadeye ability, slow and steady, to reduce the amount of damage that I'm supposed to be taking, because when you lose your hat with Never Without One, um, it says you take more damage. Regardless of what level you're at with your progression with leveling this card or ranking it up. It's always going to say you take more damage. It's not like you ever take any more damage, much more damage, as is sometimes stated. Excuse me, belching here. Sorry. Um, or any less. But again, you can reduce the more damage aspect with the by activating your slow and steady. So to me, I use that Never Without One in case I'm caught off guard, in case I'm sleeping at the wheel while I'm fishing or whatever. Whatever the deal is. And keep in mind, if you're fishing, you can use the game app that you can download to have a live feed of the game map, which seems to be pretty good. But bottom line, if you're caught off guard, and Never Without One cut kicks in, you immediately go into Deadeye, and you always want to make sure you've got full Deadeye core and a white bar, at least, whenever you're in a free roam situation, in which case you're not going to be immediately leaving. And if you think there's going to be an issue in any kind of situation whatsoever, drink a tonic. But again, just I can I don't think I stated the point, but I apologize, so it's not again. But for the first time, I'm stating this here in this video. It's expensive, to maintain, a peak efficiency at using any of these cards in relationship to gold core foods or tonics. It's expensive in your time. It's expensive to your pocket. Um, So, and also too, it is limited as to how much you can carry around with you. But yeah, when the hat gets knocked off, slow and steady kicks in. Gold core food and tonics are there to reinforce the situation, and then I'm negotiating my circumstance as to how fast I can get my hat back on. Whether or not I need to kill him first, get my hat, then kill him, whatever. I don't, there's a host of things that can go on. But if you can place yourself in a host of uh, sort of say circumstances in your mind, just imagine a lot of different scenarios that you can paint yourself in, and understand that you can recover your hat with the proper strategy and tactic if you have the opportunity. And again, that's if they're not hitting you hard and heavy with something that's going to blow you up, in which case you're going to sustain so much damage that never without one ain't going to save your ass, neither will slow and steady, even if you have it activated. um, so, and that's even if you still have the hat on and you were able to activate slow and steady. That's still not going to save you from anything hard hitting, like a dynamite arrow, or uh, you know an explosive round coupled with a slug. Now I have shot folks with an explosive round and they're still alive, but the hot second afterwards is for me anyway, is the incendiary buckshot. So I'm bam. I mean, it's just you have what you want. And I wouldn't doubt if somebody was coming at me like that. I mean, they would be very wise if you did. And also too, it's a good deterrent more often than not. I mean, you get hit with that sort of thing, unless they want to keep fighting you until you run out of all that from all your weapons. Really, they're in a detriment if they're not coming at you with the same with the same. It's the bigger gun, faster gun scenario with this here all the way, and much of it isn't really a fight. To me, a fight is an interchange over some period of time, not bang, you're dead. I took out your kneecap, gouged your eyes out. Dude, that's not a fight at that point. Like, even if I've had to engage with an individual and I think that's something I have to do to him, dude, I'm not looking at that as a fight. I'm looking at it as, you better call a hospital. So it's not a fight at that point. It's just ridiculous. But no, this is straight out, uh, bigger gun, faster gun wins the day more often than not, especially in any type of PvP scenario, regardless of what you have going on. But again, I at the moment am working with, like I said, a tonic tank loadout, and like I said, slow and steady to get the focus, unblinking eye, and never without one. Um, and like I said, if it doesn't pan out, I'll probably switch over to a DPS setup where I'm rolling with painted black. Um, Probably I'll maintain the gift of focus because I like to have everything reinforced with tonics. I'll probably maintain unblinking eye because that to me makes your safety net as your, because that only affects your white bar, or your eagle eye when you're in that mode. This does not affect how well your tonics maintain themselves. That's going to be in the level of tonic you have, whether it's level 1, level 2, level 3. This is only going to reinforce your white bar, around your core. But again, with that in mind, though I'm using a tonic build which does not typically touch my white bar, there's times where I might not have time to get to another tonic, in which case my white bar is now being drained or affected. So this is where that kicks in. It gives me that much more time to get to a tonic. It gives me that much more time to negotiate my situation. So or deal with it or whatever. So yeah, unblinking eye, I'll probably always maintain, and never without one. If I don't continue with, if I continue with a hybrid build, I'd keep that. If I wanted to go straight up DPS, I mean, gosh, take your pick, man. You can't go wrong. I mean, peak condition is a wonderful one. I mean, because 100% is going to work for you. I can't recall the last time I was below 75% stamina. You know, yeah, a lot of these other things are relative. You know what I mean? But this one is a strong one. It's winning streak one. But at the same time, if you missed, now you done fucked up. And this one here, people can circumnavigate the 15 seconds between shots thing by switching weapons. Apparently, that's a thing. But I feel like that's probably a bug that they might correct. So I wouldn't count on that too much. But also too, that's an extra amount of time negotiating a situation between weapons. In which case, I know I'd shoot you. So I mean, I'm not sure who, and I'm not the best, bro. I'm definitely not all pro, trust me. So look at my other videos. Um, but either way, and I don't know how close you really need to be for this to kick in. Leveling up, I really didn't come across too many circumstances where that applied to me, and it's nothing that I would want to rely on. And this is a strong one, but it's only relative if you're on horseback. And people be shooting and killing your horse. And I killed somebody's horse by accident when I shot him with my explosive round and incinerate buckshot. I wasn't aiming for him. I just shot him. I ain't even because I don't care where I shoot you. I'm shooting you with whatever was going to kill you, regardless of where I shoot you. So I'm just going to shoot you. Done, bang. But yeah, so but either still though, if I go out with a DPS loadout, and if I don't have never without one, it'll probably go ahead and be that peak condition situation there. Um, uh, but yeah, so I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything important here. Let's see here. Yeah, I believe I covered everything. But definitely, I hope everybody uses, the chat, hopefully politely, and Discord the situation, discuss the matter and what have you. Um, it is a debatable topic all the way around for sure. And like I said, it's very relative as to uh, when these things are going to help you or work for you. So at a very minimum, know that you can enjoy them as far as role playing is concerned. I'm just going to look through these real quick, make sure there's nothing in particular to really say about. Now, one thing I don't think I covered on this slippery bastard here, though, it works very well. Only thing is that it doesn't stop anybody from free aiming and shooting you. So if somebody's bad at free aim, that's about the only time that's really going to help you. But it will throw a player off of the gaming mechanics, especially if they're used to relying on them. But it does work. It works definitely in the PvE situation. And I have seen it work to a degree in the PvP scenarios during the horse races. Because you not only have your horse momentum and speed and distance, you got a lot of factors also to throwing them off with trying to shoot you. It has helped me to a degree, but I have had people just shoot me well, he eventually shot me with a shotgun, or just they'll plain kill your horse. So either way, this has limited aspects, and various different things that are ranged and explosive can blow up near you and take you out regardless, too. So it has its limitations. If you just respect the limitations involved with all these, you'll be fine. And I would suggest that even if folks are going machismo, full blown commando, and they're not using Deadeye, please at least use some passive cards to help you out when they can help you out. I mean, it's there to be had. But if all this interferes with your gaming experience, and you want that as close as you can get to the realistic cowboy or cow individual there is, without any enhancements, no fluff, no lube, you can take them all out if you want. But realize most people won't be playing that way. Yeah, but yeah, let's see here. Yep, I think I covered it all. But yeah, thank you again for tuning in and viewing, and I hope it all helps. And until then, definitely enjoy.